Here we go, College Football Payoff Podcast. We've made it to the end of the line. The national championship game is this Monday. I'm Dan, that's Fuji Bets, and we're back after a very nice bowl season and the beginning. We are 5 days into legalized sports gambling in Ohio, and it's been going pretty well.
I've been running the free bankroll up.
Yeah.
Got 9 different books I'm signed up to. Got about $1,100 in value right now from those, so we're rolling with the free bankroll right now. Perfect time for the national championship.
Such a perfect time. I actually, January 1st, the very first bet was that Mississippi State one, which was one of my locks for the bowl game. And how fitting was it that the very first game that you were able to bet, like college football, ended up being one of the most wild covers in the history of college. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah. We fought on that one too. We had it -1+1 on the show.
Yeah. But obviously when it came out, it was -3.5 for Mississippi State.
It closed, yeah.
So I had to take it 'cause it's the first game. So I was like, man, if I'm gonna lose my first bet, and the fact that they took it back, I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be a good year for gambling in Ohio. But so far, so good, man. A lot of free bets that we've been getting from all these books. You said you're on 9. I think I'm on 7.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been going well.
I'll give free promo. Maybe one will pick us up one day. But if you are in Ohio, it is smart to sign up for all these different books. I'll just rattle off the ones I'm signed up for. DraftKings, obviously, FanDuel, BetMGM, Barstool, Bet365. Personally, I think they're giving away the best value for new users. Caesar Sportsbook, PointsBet, Tipico, and Hard Rock. So, do you have a quick review on any of these the first couple of days of where you're getting the most value, and then who's kind of not caring about the better?
I mean, right now, DraftKings and FanDuel, every single night they have something that's a no-brainer bet. So, I know we've been hitting the Cavs to score 1 rebound in the game.
Right.
Or tonight's college basketball game between Ohio State and Purdue, 1 point scored, and you can bet up to like $50 or something.
Man, I wanted to be Team DraftKings, but FanDuel's treated me way better already.
I've seen some good ones there.
And they let those guaranteed bets. They let you bet a $50 max instead of DraftKings $25. I don't know why DraftKings is cheaping out on us. But who's being really cheap is Barstool. And
yeah.
I just don't. Do they not need to spend the free bet money to get a market share? I'm not sure. Same with Hard Rock. Hard Rock is playing too many games too. But all the other bets, all the other books, Caesars has something. They're not great, but Bet365 for me has been the best so far.
Yeah, I mean DraftKings, FanDuel, 365 for me. I got Barstool, BetMGM, Caesars, and PointsBet. Barstool because I like to look at the hockey and all that. And, the one thing that I do like about Barstool is they have their own little boosts and parlays that are different from everywhere else, which you see that with most of them, but these are like specific like game parlays.
Yeah.
PointsBet I love. PointsBet I use for all of my I use it for all. You hear something at the door? Someone's coming in because they're talking about gambling. They're trying to give us a sponsorship.
Hey, got a lock for tonight.
But PointsBet, I'm using them for a lot of my player prop bet parlays. Mm-hmm. I find they have really good odds, and then I really enjoy BetMGM. I'm having a blast with them.
They're doing good. I mean, and they got Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
So I like Jamie Foxx. I don't know what he knows about betting, but
his commercials seem to say that he knows a lot.
And being you want to support Barstool, but they're just not. They're not giving out anything great for.
No, I think I had a $100, like opt-in for Ohio, get a $100 free bet.
Right, yeah, it's just.
But all these other ones, I've turned all my free bets, which is $25, $50. I've turned them all into money, so we're doing well. All right, so yeah, episode 17 on the year, episode 54 overall, the national championship episode. Quick recap for the year. This is excluding the bowl season. My overall record was 29-21. That's a 58% clip. Fuji, I had you at 28-19. That's excluding the bowls.
Yeah, so regular season 28-19.
Yeah, so that's 60%. So together, 57-40, 59% is the podcast.
Yeah.
Bowl season, my leans, I went 9-11. My locks, I went 6-8.
Okay. I went 8-6 on my locks.
There we go. So
bowl
basically,
season's tough, and we get kind of lazy towards the end of bowl season, and I think it's way easier to handicap games at the beginning of bowl season.
Yeah.
So happy with how bowl season went, but what was your full year?
So that would put me at 35-29.
Okay.
35-29 overall.
29.
Let me pull out my handy dandy calculator. What I say, 35-29. That's what, 64. 55%.
Nice.
55%.
My final tally before the national championship this year is 36-25. So 59.02 on that. So
I mean, there we are. We're at 57%.
Man, that's in I'll just rattle this off now. Over the last 2 seasons, I've been 77-47 on the show. So that feels good. And then all time on the show, all time numbers were so I've given out 209 picks on the show. This will be my 210th pick at the end of this show here, but official pick. But all-time record on the show for Fuji Bets is 120, 88, and 1. So that's for 57.42%. That's a nice little sample size.
Over 3 years, yeah. And think about it, because that first year that we did it, we were taking a lot of games.
Firing off bets,
We were throwing a lot of games out there. So now, in the end of our third year, we've gone quality over quantity, and I think we're really starting to dial it in now.
Yeah, we are.
So I'm happy with how things have gone, and feeling great going into the national championship. So yeah, let's talk real quick the 2 semifinal games, because obviously there was a bunch of great bowl games, some fantastic bets, props, all that stuff. But the 2 games, college football playoff semifinal games, were both high scoring and probably 2 of the best semifinal playoff games in the history of the college football playoff.
Agreed.
You started with Michigan and TCU, and I mean, I didn't think TCU really had a shot. I knew that they would come out, but I thought Michigan was going to be able to kind of control that game. And Max Duggan, man, especially after TCU loses their running back early in that game, Max Duggan, dude, he is a dog.
Yeah, man, he's got some of the probably one of the biggest hearts in college football. So,
yeah,
I like to see him do well, man. He wasn't even starting at the beginning of the season, so it's nice to see him go from non-starter to Heisman finalist. Sidebar, real quick. I don't know if we mentioned it, but I got my Caleb Williams Heisman bet.
Oh, we mentioned
Did
it.
we mention it on the show?
Absolutely, we did.
I checked my ticket. I bet that on July 28th. So if it's your first time listening to the CFP pod, just know.
We're gonna have to listen to you next year. For that game, I was leaning the Michigan -7.5. But as an Ohio State guy, I wasn't mad to see it, because I got to watch that game first, and then went into the Ohio State-Georgia game, which I really didn't give the Buckeyes a shot. I wasn't going to be fully invested in that game, but they kept me around all the way until the last play, and it was just as heartbreaking as I thought it would be, missing that field goal. But I mean, big on that. I locked in the over 62.5 in that game, and again, high scoring. And I thought it was a little bit of a surprise, because I knew Ohio State's offense was pretty good, but I thought Georgia's defense would be able to stop them.
Yeah.
And C.J. Stroud actually ran the ball against them, which his very first game of his college career, he opened it up with a 75-yard rushing touchdown, didn't run, and then his last game of his college career, he almost wins that game for him on his legs. But that was a great game. Stetson Bennett, he's just been around a long time. He's got weapons. They didn't really throw to their tight end either, which was surprising, that Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Well, they personnel-wise, Ohio State had a pretty good matchup against him. And I feel like it was really predictable to say, oh, hey, we're throwing to Brock. I think that's going to be different this week. I think Brock will outsize a lot of the guys on the TCU defense, and they'll feed him the ball.
Yeah, big time. So the big takeaway is a lot of points were scored in both those semifinal games. Now, let's talk about this national championship game where seems like...
Sorry, before we go in the national championship game, I just got to say one thing about the Georgia-Ohio State game.
Okay.
What do you think? I already know it. What do you think I think was the most important play in that whole game?
The most important play?
The most important thing to happen.
Marvin Harrison getting hurt?
That would be my second. I knew Georgia was going to win that game, and I thought Ohio State already won the game when they converted it, but there was a timeout called on the fake punt that they sniffed out. When I saw that, is just maybe one of the highest IQ coaching on both sides. It was a great time to call the fake, and it was lined up perfectly, and it was just high IQ football to spot that from the box and call a timeout. I loved watching that. It was a play that didn't even count and never happened, but just to see how in the moment both teams were and how just to see Ohio State putting it all on the line to pretty much put the game away if you get that first down there, and to see Georgia, somebody from the box, the communication, the quick reaction to calling timeout, that to me was the most important play in the whole
I'll tell you, I forgot about that play because I wanted to delete it from my memory because
sorry.
as an Ohio State fan, I watched that, and we were watching it. We were watching the main telecast. We were flipping back and forth between Pat McAfee and that one, but they had the mega cast on one of the channels where it had coaches' cams and the play.
Yep.
To me, I don't think you got the timeout off in time.
Okay.
But that's just me. There was also a few questionable calls there. That first down that they gave Georgia.
Yeah.
They said he crossed. I thought the ball was out of bounds. I didn't know that they changed the rules just for that game, but we're not going to get into it because Ohio State also had a lot of chances to win.
Yes, they did.
But yeah, I agree with that because if Ohio State picks that up, man, that does change a lot. And we were because Georgia had a lot of momentum going. All right, you ready to go now?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's talk about this national championship game.
National championship. I'm going to be looking at DraftKings.
Okay,
that's the book that I'll be looking at here.
DraftKings. They got props up early too, which shout out to DraftKings for doing that, because you look at places like Caesars and PointsBet and some other books who don't have them up yet. So it's nice to be able to look at these 5 days in advance.
Yeah. So real quick, TCU Georgia Monday, January 9th, 7:35. This is out in L.A., right?
Yeah.
SoFi.
They're not allowed to tailgate.
Yeah, I saw that. That sucks.
It's fucking stupid.
That's ridiculous, but
language.
That's all right. We're adults here. Georgia, 12.5-point favorites in this game. Totals at 62.5. Just right off that, what would you take? Would you take spread? Would you take total?
I've been going back and forth. This is a really hard one for me to take. My heart is telling me spread. I want to say over here because of the 62.5, and we saw what both teams did last week. I'll probably bet over come game time, but when it comes to giving out the pod pick, I'm looking at the spread here.
Okay, I'm looking at the over. I'm hammering the over in this one. I think this is a shootout. I think both teams score at will. Georgia will end up getting a few more stops than TCU, but at this point, I can't count Max Duggan out of anything. I think he continues to somehow keep their season going and just keep scoring and scoring. So I'm going to be going with the over in that.
Okay.
All right. Let's look at some props. Do you got any?
Yeah. So
any props?
I'll
go ahead and give me one to start.
So prop to start, because I'll give my game lock at the end.
Yeah. Give me a prop to start with.
But the prop that I love it right now is Stetson Bennett over 10.5 rushing yards, minus 115 on DraftKings. So I just love. I don't see how he doesn't get this. I don't think he's going to sit in the pocket all game. I think Georgia's offensive line will be able to protect him, and the longer that the TCU DBs get stuck in coverage, the less there's going to be a spy or anybody accounting for Stetson Bennett. I think he could rush and, at least get a 20-yarder, maybe break off for a 20-yard scramble in this game. And if he's taking, kneel downs at the end of the game, that still gives us some room to get the over here. I just really, really love this over 10.5 yards. I don't think it's going to be much to get it. I don't know why this line is this low. I would think that it'd be somewhere in the 20s. And pretty much any Stetson Bennett rushing over prop into with a 1 as the first digit is good for me. So all the way from 10.5 to 19.5, I'd take Stetson Bennett over.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Stetson Bennett's good, but I'm glad you brought that one up because I'm looking at Max Duggan's rushing yards. So right now on DraftKings, he's at 27.5 over under. I'll say over the 27.5 for Max Duggan rushing. Number one reason, what C.J. Stroud was able to do last week. Okay, if they do fall behind. Right? With a lead, it looked like Georgia kind of backs off a little bit, tries to take away the deep ball. They'll give that underneath route. TCU's offense is pushing upfield with the throw. They're up-tempo. I think you give me 3, maybe 4 quality rushes from Duggan, which he's able to do.
Yeah.
I think he's over 27.5 yards easily in that one. That's at -120. So I'll take Max Duggan over 27.5 rushing yards in this one. And then playing off of that, sticking with the quarterbacks, I'm also looking at this. So I got Stetson Bennett. Let me see here. Where's the passing props? I love this app. All right. So we got Duggan, 233.5. Stetson Bennett, 278.5. If I were to look at this, I'd go Stetson Bennett over 278 yards, over 278.5 yards passing.
278.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I would just because I mean TCU is known as an offensive team, and I know both of these teams they got gashed in those semifinal games, but like I said, I think TCU is going to be they'll start to sell out to do what they did against Michigan, which was, get into the backfield early to try to stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
And Bennett's he's been around way too long that it's not necessarily he has to throw the ball 30 yards downfield. He can dump balls off over the middle and let his receivers run and pick up the yardage for him.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Stetson Bennett over 278.5 passing yards as well. Do you have anything else with the quarterbacks here?
I'm going to move on from the quarterbacks here, but I do have 2 receiving props that I'm looking at.
All right, go with them.
And the first one is Kenny McIntosh over 19.5 yards. Kenny McIntosh is the leading rusher for Georgia this year with 779 yards on the ground, 10 touchdowns. But he's also their third leading receiver with 505 yards through the air. I think that I just really think that there's going to be a mismatch here because they're going to have linebackers covering McIntosh, and they're going to have their best guys, their best linebacker safety combo on Brock Bowers. So I think it's going to leave a lot of room open for McIntosh here and just one screen pass. And you saw, there was a holding on the play where he broke out and scored against Ohio State, I felt like. But, he pretty much walked into the end zone untouched. And he has the ability to break off a, 30, 40-yard play, out of the backfield when it's a screen. So I'm going to stay away from his rushing prop. But I do think that his receiving over 19.5 yards is very live. On top of that, one more on the TCU side. I'm going to look at this Darius Davis over 30.5. Davis was their third leading receiver this year in yards and second in catches. I think that they'll be heavily occupied covering Quentin Johnson, and that'll leave some room here for Tay Barber and Darius Davis to go off. I just like that, Davis is a speed demon, and I feel that he can get over this 30.5 yards on one play potentially. So I'm live for both those overs.
Good. All right. I'm going to move on to away from the players, more or less into the teams. So I'm not going to go with anything like first score because that's based on a coin toss, and I don't want to put my chances up against a coin. But I'm going to talk about the first score method for TCU. Right now, and this isn't on DraftKings, but this is just I can't remember where I saw this, but I wrote it down because it was really intriguing to me. First score method for TCU is going to be a field goal, and that's plus 240. So they got touchdown minus 340. Anything else, 4,500, which is basically a safety. But field goals at plus 240. Here's what I'm thinking about: is Georgia. Ohio State scored quick on them last in the playoff, right?
Yeah.
Georgia's a top-ranked defense. I think that first drive, Georgia's going to kind of be in that bend don't break. If they, if it's the first drive, it's a bend don't break. They'll get them down in the red zone, and then they'll try to stifle them there. And TCU's just going to want to get points. They're not going to be going for it as aggressive as they usually would. But I think right here, I just envision it. First drive of the game for TCU, maybe they get good field position, but they get inside the 30. Georgia stops them, and then TCU just needs to get those points. So I'm looking at field goal for TCU's first score at plus 240.
Okay.
Let me see what else we got here. Do you got anything? Are you still going with players, or do you got game bets, or what?
Well, I mean, first touchdown score, I think. So, I mean, who are we going to look at here? We're going to look at Kenny McIntosh, who I've already brought up. Brock Bowers is very live for the first touchdown here, and I think that's very possible. Kendre Miller, running back for the Horned Frogs, who has about 1,500 yards almost this year. Does Max Johnson or does Max Duggan roll out of the pocket and dive in for the touchdown? That's possible. That's plus 1,200. Stetson Bennett plus 1,400. I think off the bat, I'd go Kenny McIntosh plus 700 for first score.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually thinking about Kendre Miller plus 900 for that one.
That's a good pick. I mean, I just don't know who's. I want to say Georgia's going to strike first in this game, so I know it comes out to
And again, it's the coin toss.
So.
Whatever the whoever gets the ball first, I think could. It's going to be a high-scoring game, which is why I'm taking the over. So if it's Georgia who gets the ball first, there you go. If it's TCU, I'd say Kendre. But either way, you're plus 700, plus 900. It should be good. What else do we got here? I see race to 35. I don't want to deal with that. Exact number of touchdowns, no, because that's just you get into garbage time. Team to score the longest touchdowns. You got Georgia at minus 200, TCU at plus 150. This is interesting to me.
I would go TCU here.
I'm going TCU.
Yeah.
TCU because Georgia last week, they scored that long touchdown. Basically, the defensive back for Ohio State fell down. I mean,
yeah.
He fell down, and that's an easy pass. But they also had one where the guy tripped over he tripped over the turf. He had it and he tripped over. TCU is a home run hitting team.
They are. That's what's made them get to this point.
Yeah,
so,
that's the reason they're in this position. So I think TCU comes out. They could score a nice long touchdown. I'm thinking somewhere in the range of 70 to 80 yards.
Yeah.
So I'll take that one easily.
Is there a longest touchdown prop on this game?
That's from a
TD props. Well, longest touchdown, it says each team. Oh, longest touchdown. How do you like this? Over 43.5 or under 43.5?
Over.
I would lean that way too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many players on this field that have explosive potential here.
Mm-hmm.
Race to 10 points. Georgia.
Georgia.
300. So I don't know if I would take that, but
let's see. Yeah, longest touchdown on here, TCU plus 140 on DraftKings. So I'll take that. First to score.
Wow, I'm looking at a Georgia -7 first half, -120. I mean, I guess I'd rather pay -7. I'd rather do -7, -120 instead of -7.5, -110. So
Okay.
maybe, I don't know. If there's any stats nerds out there, don't make fun of me, please. What else do we have? I'm looking at some alternate spreads too. Georgia -4.5 first half looks good, but TCU, plus 6.5 plus 110 looks okay. I mean, anything else to you stick out about this game? I mean, I know this isn't the Georgia defense from last year. I am worried about the mismatch of Jalen Carter on the defensive line for TCU though, or for Georgia against TCU. I don't know how that's gonna work. Maybe if I'm worried about the battle in the trenches, maybe I should look at that Miller under rushing prop. What's that at right now? Rushing yards. Oh, they don't even have him on here.
Well, hang on.
Is he not playing?
Wow. Yeah, they don't have him on here. They have Edwards.
Oh, he's questionable.
Okay, so the Edwards prop, who would be their running back, is 49.5.
I mean,
Well, then take my touchdown scorer out of it.
oh shit, Edwards is on Georgia. They don't even have anybody except.
Wow.
Edwards has gotten a lot of touches too. Maybe I'm overlooking him because, he only has 60 yards less than McIntosh on the year when it comes to rushing.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna take the Kendre Miller one, the first scorer off, and I'm gonna put Max Duggan in there. I think Max Duggan can
I like that.
score a first touchdown for
Yeah.
us. All right. And then DraftKings has their same game parlays, which I love. They build parlays for you. We got a few here. At plus 750, you got TCU money line, over 25.5 TCU total points, and DeMarcado to score 2 or more touchdowns. Let me see if I can find one. There's nothing really here. Well, let's see Georgia here. Oh, mixed. I like this. Over. At plus 295. Oh, no, I don't want to stick with the odds. How about this? Plus 475. Georgia money line. Over 62.5. McIntosh, Bowers, and DeMarcado anytime touchdown scorers.
What's that payout?
It's plus 475.
Is it so? What were the last three guys?
McIntosh, Bowers, and DeMarcado.
And all three of them have to score.
Yeah,
That's tough, but
that is tough.
yeah. I'm looking at this Georgia Bulldogs, the total points bands to score from 31 to 40 at plus 175. That's not bad. You could even lay 41 to 50 for plus 215. So that's nice. I'm worried here. I want to take the Georgia team total over 37.5. My only problem is, what's the most similar team that Georgia has played this year, most similar to TCU? That would, in my eyes, would be Tennessee. And Georgia was able to control that game from start to wire, and they really let off the gas in the end. Kind of just game managed and didn't get all the way up to that 37.5. So that has me a little bit worried about the over too.
Man, all right. I like this one a lot. Georgia money line. Stetson Bennett over 280 passing yards. Kenny McIntosh to score 2 or more touchdowns.
What's that pay?
Plus 700.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that one in.
One they put together.
Yep.
Interesting.
So on DraftKings, you go to same game parlay.
Quick SGP.
Yep. And obviously it's just a Georgia one. You scroll down to the bottom, and it's the very last one they have.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that for sure. All right. Do you have anything else that you're looking at, or?
Man, I kind of do like that Kenny McIntosh one at the end. I think he has a chance to have a big game, but I still think they'll give the MVP to the winning quarterback.
Yeah, it has to be.
Do.
I don't think they'll give an MVP to anyone else.
I hate that. That's the worst thing about.
Yeah.
Maybe a defensive player could get it. Maybe
that'd be fun.
Well, do you see an MVP? Where would this be under game props?
See, I haven't seen any.
I haven't seen an MVP on here yet, but I would even let's see, popular. I would even, depending on what the odds were, maybe take a long shot on Jalen Carter.
Mm-hmm.
On the D line. So.
Yeah, I don't see anything for MVPs for this game. Maybe they'll put that closer to they'll add it in closer to game time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for now, those are the ones I'm going to do. Obviously, closer we get to the game, I'm going to add more and more, but those are the ones that I'm looking at that I'm pretty confident in right now.
All right. What's your official pick for the game, side or total? Are you going with the over officially?
Yep. Over. Okay. Over. On DraftKings, it is over 62.5.
Okay.
That's my bet.
Fuji Bet's official pick. They got it done for me last year in the national championship with the cover. I'm going to go back to it this year. If you bet against TCU all year, you did not get rich, but I think it's time to bet against them. After last week's games, you can convince me that TCU is one of the best teams in the country, but you cannot convince me that they're the second best team in the country. I don't think they'll be able to keep up if this game gets out of hand early. So Fuji Bet's official national championship pick is Georgia minus 12.5. So
there it is.
I mean, I just think the size difference with the experience of being in this position, there's. And I love watching this Kirby Smart coaching staff. I think he is the next hate to say it, but probably the next Saban. As long as he wants to coach, Kirby Smart will have success. And I just love the experience they have. So give me the minus 12.5. And if you're feeling really frisky, if you really think it's going to be this huge blowout, I would even look at Georgia minus 16 plus 140.
I love it.
So
I love that we have this at our fingertips.
I love
this
that
is so nice.
Legal in Ohio, and I'm not stuck with the offshores anymore.
So happy.
It's nice.
So yeah, those are the official picks for the game, and then all the props that we talked about. But yeah, have fun with it, man. It's going to be a good game. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah, thanks for listening this year. We're going to hit our goal of all-time downloads. So that's nice. We had a great episode last week for the bowl season part 3 with the playoff games, and we're hopefully you find us on your whatever speaker you listen to or whatever podcast you're streaming. Make time for this one because we have winning results, and although we're amateurs, we take this pretty seriously.
Absolutely. It's been fun all year, and we're just going to keep growing and continue to get better. But, yeah, like you said, make sure you follow us, like us, subscribe, leave comments, share with your friends, all that stuff. Wherever you find podcasts, that's where we are. For one last time this year, hit them with socials so they can follow us because college football's over, right? We still have basketball. We still have hockey.
Yep.
We still have golf coming up, soccer, all the good stuff, and the playoffs for football.
And although the college football payoff, Twitter won't be tweeting anything except college football. You can probably get some picks on our personals. Mm-hmm. Dan's is DPOSK. That's DPOSK 13 on Twitter, right?
Yep.
You can find me at Fuji Bets on Twitter. Interact with us. Tweet at us. Most of all, follow the pod at CFP_pod. And, one last announcement. If you're a sportsbook out there and you're looking to, sponsor the pod or get a shout out, reach out to us at collegefootballpayoff@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So I will
We'd love to give out some
I would
some
love to
promos, you know?
have a name behind us. We have maybe sportsbooks with the results we've given, the winning results. Maybe they wouldn't want us to be.
Yeah, maybe we should start losing a
But
little
we don't
bit.
give out a lot of picks. I give out three to four max a week. So
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But yeah, you got anything else?
logging off. We'll see you next season.
Yeah, that's Fuji. I'm Dan. We will see you next year.